Google and Facebook are the two behemoths of the marketing world, and they really do stand head and shoulders against every other advertising channel. And that's for two reasons. First of all, they have huge audiences. Literally everybody in the world Google stuff, and Facebook has a few billion users, especially when you factor in Instagram. And then secondly, not only do they have big audiences, but they have very granular targeting that lets you actually target those audiences. They both have very sophisticated advertising products compared to most other products out there, and the precision that you can actually reach people is really, really precise and impressive. However, they actually target users in very different ways. So they use two different types of targeting. One is profile-based targeting, which is what Facebook uses, and the other is behavior-based targeting, which is what Google uses. So on Facebook, you're performing profile targeting. That means that Facebook captures data on their audience's demographics, their likes, their interests, and then it allows you to pay them as the advertiser. So for example, let's say you're selling like black pairs of women's shoes or something along those lines. Using Facebook, you can target women who have already shown an interest in shoes. So they might have liked other shoe brands or pages to do with footwear, and then you're using this profile information to determine that they're a good fit for your product. So on the other side with Google, especially with the search ad product they have, people are expressing their desire to buy something right now through a query like buy black shoes. So someone's performing the behavior of searching for something that they want. You're then targeting based on that behavior. So their interests have nothing to do with it, whether they're a woman, a man, their previous interest in footwear. It's their immediate behavior that you're hijacking through Google. So profile targeting is about you as a person. Behavior targeting is about what you're doing right now. So there's benefits and drawbacks to each of these types of targeting. When it actually comes to Google versus Facebook, there are four main advantages that Google has against the Facebook ad product. First of all, users aren't always ready to buy right now on Facebook. Just because someone has shown an interest in shoes doesn't mean they want them at the moment. So that means you're spending money as the advertiser to try to move them towards wanting to buy shoes. On the other hand, with Google, users are pretty much ready to buy. There's no more direct way of targeting your ideal customer for your women's shoes than to show ads for people searching right now women's shoes. There's no guesswork. That person is looking to buy, and you can then put an ad up and capture that interest in buying. So that's one advantage. The second advantage is on Facebook, their profile information might actually be out of date. So Facebook considers somebody in an interest group or having liked something regardless of when they actually did it. So if you liked a page related to shoes 5 years ago, in the eyes of Facebook's targeting capabilities, they're still considered as having that interest. So again, Facebook is clever and it has ways of figuring out who your best customers are through its algorithm if you spend enough money. But that does mean that you potentially have wasted money by targeting people who are actually not that interested anymore in that particular item. So again, with Google, there's no out-of-date interests because that behavior of wanting shoes is happening right now. There's no guesswork. They want it now. They didn't like it 5 years ago or 4 years ago or whatever. They want it today. So that's another advantage Google has over Facebook. Third, on Facebook, your audience size is limited by the number of Facebook users who happen to express an interest in shoes. So say there's 400,000 women in London who have shown an interest in shoes. So once you've actually targeted that 400,000, there aren't any more coming. That audience is saturated. And again, you can refresh your creative, you can send different ads to them. There's ways of getting around that, but there is a fixed limit of people that you can't get around of the fact that there's no one else coming. You have to target those people again and again and again. So on Google, you might have 10,000 people interested in black shoes or women's shoes this month. And then next month, you're going to have another 10,000 people. And the month after that, another 10,000. So each month, you're getting 10,000 new people. So that audience doesn't saturate in the same way. You have a much more stable channel in Google Ads. You could put Google Ads out for £1,000 a month, and you're going to get the same amount of sales most likely each month. Whereas on Facebook, you're probably going to get a lot of sales at the beginning, but once you saturate that audience, you're going to get diminishing returns. So that's the third advantage. And the fourth one is just around algorithm changes and data privacy changes. So Facebook is much more susceptible to these because it deals with demographic information. Governments might actually force them to change it. Google Ads is not dealing with that sort of stuff in the same way. It is a little bit, but it's just not as at as much risk of having huge changes in advertising costs in the same way that Facebook is. So those are the reasons why Google Ads can be better than Facebook ads, but they actually have some drawbacks too. So behavior targeting, which Google Ads uses, is usually more effective at driving the sale in the immediate term. But the challenge is you're relying on how many people actually search that term. So if only 10,000 people are searching that term each month, then your audience is like 300 people per day. That's pretty small if you want sales now. So with Facebook, if you have the budget, you can target as many people as you want. You're not limited by them proactively searching. And also, some products don't fit neatly into things that people query. So that's why Facebook, the fact that you can target via their demographic, can be really helpful as well. So then secondly, you're also missing out on people who might be interested. Google allows you to capture the people who want your product, but what about the people that don't know they want it but could be converted? So with Google Ads, you have many potential customers not seeing your ads. Facebook doesn't have that problem because it allows you to pay to jump in front of people who you think might be the right fit. So there are advantages and drawbacks to both, and it means that the question, which channel is better, is not really a good question. They are two completely different ways of targeting potential customers. Facebook lets you target someone likely to be a good fit for your product. Google Ads is better for targeting people who want your product now. So you can have success in one, and that has no bearing on the other channel's success. And that's great news because you can use them complementarily, and often if one doesn't work, the other might, and actually sometimes both work. So you really have to use them in conjunction as a marketer rather than see them as like one channel being better than the other. They both need to be used, they both need to be tested, and that's why it's worth knowing both.